welcome back to Cricket 8. I am Jarrod Kimmer. We're going to do a podcast here. I've got Mark Mercado from Near the End. I've got Rob Barron from everywhere. Okay, let's have a look at this game. There was a lot that went on, Mark. Let's start with the fact that the Sunrisers won the game with the ball and with the spinning ball and with their openers both kind of failing. I know Head made some runs, but he wasn't Travis Head, was he? I don't know what was going on. Abhishek didn't last long. It wasn't with a big boom from the two big boomy guys, Travis Sheck or Abhishek, whatever you want to call it.
It's incredible, right? So this edition of the IPL has all been about big runs being scored, huge chases. And today we saw the exact opposite of that. It was like a throwback to about 10 years ago where batters were struggling to find the boundary. I think there was a 30-ball spell at one point, right in the middle of the Sunrisers innings where they didn't get a boundary. And we thought at the innings break, 175, we thought it was a little bit pedestrian, a little bit mediocre. Turns out they were about 30 runs more than they needed in the end. Absolutely superb from Sunrisers to kind of, they had to outthink them. And that's what they did because they just kept throwing unexpected things at the opposition. I also think you go back to the beginning of the Rajasthan Royals innings when they were in, Tom Kohler-Cadmore just couldn't get going. Just issues with trying to see the ball and sweat and all that kind of stuff. Jaswal looks set. Cadmore gets out. Jaswal gets out. And no one really gets going after that. And it was kind of like, you talked about the train during it. And it was like the train was going in reverse. It was like the further it went on, the more and more, the harder it was to get going.
Let's talk about the heats because it plays a huge part in this. We saw Tripathi face 13 balls and looked like it being dipped in the ocean. And we kept seeing it over and over and over again. Even Hetmeyer, who didn't field, came out and he batted for 8 balls or 9 balls and he already was absolutely dripping with sweat. We saw the spectators dripping with sweat. This was as drainy a game as you would see. And you had to be very smart. That Rajasthan, who we always go on about being one of the smarter teams, were not as smart as Sunrisers today. And Pat Cummins played a bunch of blinders.
Yeah, they got outthunk all day. And Kohler-Cadmore stunk. And now they're done. It was...
In the podcast.
It was a tremendous effort from Pat Cummins. Part of the great thing about having loads of spin overs was that spin's way easier to bowl than paces when it's 1,000,000 degrees and everybody is sweating buckets. Like there were genuine concerns over the condition of some of these really fit athletes today. Everybody was knackered.
Well, Aiden Markram bowled a ball to short fine leg on the full.
The best ball of the IPL without a shadow of a doubt.
Ever.
15 yards away from the intended target. And then he bowled, like Hetmeyer couldn't hit full tosses. So I don't know whether that's a tiredness thing or a conditioning thing or what, but it looks so difficult to go on. I mean, we saw 2 50s today, but Jarrod will be lying down somewhere now. There's no question about that. And the reason why SRH are going to, Mark made this point earlier, they've got to go again in 48 hours' time, less than 48 hours' time. And how does Klassen feel now after getting a 50 within himself and then keeping for 20 overs in that? And, you know, he's not, I mean, he's ginger. He's going to be absolutely drained as anything. How does he rise again in 40 hours?
His innings, you just couldn't get the ball away unless he was facing Chahal. And he got almost all of his sixes off Chahal. It wasn't a Henrik Klassen innings, though, was it? He realised maybe more before any of us just how hard it was out there.
It's a couple of days ago when they played KKR and lost. He kind of had quite a similar type of innings where he just kind of dug in at a point. He came in earlier than he was expecting and kind of stuck about. Today he did that, was a bit more successful. We were all left thinking we wanted to see a much bigger innings, but actually he had the right tempo for the game that was needed. We just couldn't see it, but he's, you know, that's why he's a professional cricketer out there. And we sit here telling you what to put money on to win money.
Tripathi,
brilliant.
That innings is incredible in this game because no one else was that successful or had that intent. It's really, there's 4 guys who batted at all in this game, right?
Pretty much. He's an intent master, Abhishek, and he comes in and he gets on with it. And we even saw today how exhausted he looked having faced 10 balls. And the writing was on the wall there. But 37 or 15, and the shot he got out to, would have been a wide if he left it, but because he was in such intent mode, he tried to ramp a ball that was already over his head and there was a fielder there. Let's remember, so lots of mad things happen in this game. Chahal taking 3 catches is up there. That will never happen again. I guarantee you that. And Shabazz and Shabazishek, going 8 overs, 5 for 47 is a miracle. And Pat Cummins deserves a lot of the credit for that because it was his idea that happened.
He was, but it spun 7 degrees. So there's no way he was assuming that was going to happen. He brought on Shabazz because he was trying to burgle an over.
Yeah.
And he went from burgling an over to winning the game.
To burgling the entire match.
And you have to give him credit for the fact that I think a lot of captains would have stopped after a couple of overs. Even we were talking maybe Abhishek didn't need to bowl as much. And Cummins just kept going with it. But it's interesting because Shabazz was the impact batter, and he had almost no impact as a batter. just a back on Rajasthan. We know that they're a fantastic team, and we know that in Bolt early on and Chahal, when he's at his best, they have wicket-taking options. In that particular case, Mark, by not finishing off the game and going through them and attacking, and Ashwin was bowling purposely defensive at times and everything else, they actually left themselves with more to do than they would have if they had just maybe gone for the wickets.
It's interesting because not too long ago, Ashwin was the person saying in T20 cricket, wickets don't matter as much. They used to, and that's what's been their undoing today. If he hadn't bowled defensive, if they'd gone attacking, they might have got them out. Because, I mean, they finished the 9 down. If they'd got them out for 140, 150, which probably looked at points like it could have been on, then this game, Rajasthan are into the final, and it doesn't, we're having a totally different conversation about it. So, yeah, they got it wrong. I mean, Ashwin's 5D chess he was playing a different game today, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he actually, credit to the kind of SRH think tank, because they thought the opposition, right? We all thought this is going to be a really difficult total for them to defend. It wasn't in the end. Part-time spinners getting through overs very quickly when the opposition are melting, when the batters are melting, was the tactic that got them through today, and it worked.
Certainly. There's no other way of looking at it. Rajasthan melted in the heat today. Whether you want to call it choking or wherever else, it was ridiculous. Anyway, that's the end for our podcast. We will obviously be back for the final. That man is Rob. That man is Mark. My name is Jarrod. And this is the Cricket 8 podcast, which you can find in your ears whenever you stuff it in.